Well, welcome back to Budapest, Hungary here, hosting the 2020 Youth Dressage European Championships, where this week it's the focus on the young riders and the under-25s. The opening competition for the under-25s this week is in full flow. We'll be back underway with that very competition in just a moment's time. It's the team competition. These riders performing the FEI Intermediate 2 test, and we've seen 10 come forward already, and it is Germany with the top two scores at the moment, looking in a very, very strong position for the team gold medal here today. Raphael Netz and Lacoste 126 posted a score of 72.441 with a score of 70.530 for Alexa Westendarp and Hickstead. Riders in the warm-up arena just going through the final few preparations before they join us. And the first of those to return after the break is with us now. And it's another very competitive nation in the world of dressage. It's a rider from the Netherlands who have already claimed one gold medal here today, having won the Young Rider team event a little earlier this afternoon. The rider for the Netherlands is Jasmine de Koeyer, four-time team silver medalist at Youth European Championships 2013, 2016, 2017 and 2019. In 2017 in Roosendaal in the Netherlands, she rode to individual bronze as well. And recently in Exlu on home soil, she won the Intermediate 2, the Grand Prix Freestyle and the Under-25 Grand Prix as well. Riding an 11-year-old Dutch-bred mare by Desperados, it is Esperanza, the Netherlands' Jasmine de Koeyer.
Very bold entrance. Very nice trot off. And obviously from her CV that you've just read out, John, it's pretty impressive. So I'm really looking forward to what she shows us today in her test. Really lovely scope there in the extended trot. You can really see how he's trotting through the whole body and really coming up through the shoulder, but his head carriage is staying the same, and that really is the key.
And with these senior European Championships, they run every 2 years, but at youth level, there's a European Championship every year. Is that just to give these young riders as much championship experience and as much ring time as is possible?
Yeah, because as it's done in age sections of age group, it would be such a shame if they had to miss a year because it was every 2 years. So by doing it every year, it just basically means that more riders get an opportunity to ride at competitions like this. Very nice impulsion in the passage. Good energy coming into the PF. I just want to see the PF a little bit quicker. But, you know, once again, that's a hard thing. I've been sitting a lot saying I'd like this and I'd like this. But actually, at the end of the day, when you're looking at their age, what are they producing in front of us is really good quality work. It's just when we look at it from a senior's point of view going through into the future, you want to see a bit more activity in the PF, a bit more energy taking the rider forward in the PF. Once again, that second PF was a lot better. And we've been finding that a lot today, that the second PF is better because the riders have done the first one, they've got it out the way, they've taken a deep breath, and now they know they're in the test and it's really going forward. Very nice transition into the extended walk. You can see there how the horse's hips are really moving from left to right, and that's showing you just a form of suppleness and relaxation. If there's no movement at all behind the saddle, then that shows that the horse is a little bit tight and not coming through the body itself. Very good transition into the collected walk. You can see again how careful she's being there, that she doesn't make the walk too big that the horse gets a little bit too tense and in front of her. Super transition into the canter. Very nice flying change. And that really is a hard movement there in the medium canter, going into a flying change over X. So now she'll be thinking about the preparation for the half pass. You can see already there that the body bend. And he started off a little bit quarters leading, but she was very, very quick to get the shoulders in front of his left hip in that half pass. She did very well there in the pirouette. He got a little bit behind her. You could see there on the last 2 strides how his hind legs got in a really wide frame, and that's just because he wasn't stepping under his body over his back into a forward canter pirouette. Very nice expression again in the extended canter. Very lovely frame. You can really see how how she's also riding his pole at the highest point. Very secure outline. Lovely preparation into the half pass to the right. Just want to keep the half pass parallel. Think about bouncing the horse to come into the canter, but taking his time. Good. I'd like to see a little bit more time taken in the canter, a little bit more weight taken behind, but the horse kept stepping. The horse was round, and there were good steps. Coming into the 2-time changes, where you literally have 2 strides to correct the horse, ready for them to change onto the opposite leg. And that's all down to suppleness as well, that when you look at the change, the horse needs to be able to move left and right through his rib cage, still keeping a very good frame in front. It's the rib cage that has to get out of the way for the flying change to be correct. Very nice 1-time changes. Very secure, very straight, lovely energy. Just see there that he was a little bit slow to get into the trot transition. Once again, lovely expression through the forearm. You can see real lightness in his steps. And coming down to that final run.
Looks to be a good score at the moment.
Very, very good score. Nice swing in the passage, good energy. Keep him straight. Very good.
Wow. There we have it at the
she
moment.
Should be pleased.
Around 72.
Yeah.
Which it's creeping up still as those final few scores are processed from the judges. So it could actually be the best score that we've seen so far.
Yeah, I think it is. And she's absolutely thrilled, and rightly so. I mean, that was beautifully ridden and very well set up. You could see when she was starting the movement, finishing the movement, and she was very quick to correct him if she thought something wasn't going to go quite right. So that was absolutely beautifully ridden, and she deserves that mark, absolutely.
Just looking at the team scores, obviously Germany very much in control. Well, they were, but the first rider for the Netherlands scored 69.265, which is a good score, but we can see on the screen there 72.882. That's the best score that we've seen so far. So it's really neck and neck between the Netherlands and Germany at the moment in the race for Team Gold.
And what I like so much well about this combination is that how much more they've got to give in the future. I spoke earlier a little bit about the Piaf, that we for the seniors want to see it a little bit quicker, oops daisy, a little bit quicker and a little bit more energy. Once they can establish that as a partnership, that score is just going to get higher.
Well, it looks actually there's been a correction to the score for the first rider from the Netherlands, and in fact they were eliminated. I'm not too sure what that was for, but we'll see if we can find out. But that's a score that will count for the Netherlands, and it is a very good score, and it sets them off to a very good start indeed. I'm just wondering, I don't know if you caught any of the Young Rider team event earlier, Bobby. I don't know if I could take another one like that. It was neck and neck as well, and the final rider came into the arena, and it was the rider for the Netherlands, and he needed a score of just under 75 to win, and he just about scraped it. And I can see this competition playing out exactly the same way. Yeah,
I absolutely think it's going to be the same.
But
very much so.
Denmark, they were on the podium as well. Another rider for Denmark joins us now, Victoria Vallentin, with a 12-year-old Westphalian gelding by Hogwarts out of a Baldini, the second mare. This is Brooklyn. Victoria Vallentin, ridden at 5 Youth European Championships already, and she's got a good track record of producing young horses. She's had international success in young horse competitions in the past 12 months.
That's great. I think it's always fantastic when the rider is producing a young horse through to the Grand Prix and through to this level. It's brilliant experience. Yeah, this horse has got a lot of expression, a lot of bounce in every stride. It's a little bit similar to the Chestnut that we saw a little bit earlier, that also I think got 70% as well, or just under, with the amount of expression and elasticity that the horse has in every single step it's taking. Nice energy in the zigzag. Very nice transition coming into the passage. And that's really how smooth you want to see it. That you almost don't notice that the rider has gone from a collected trot to the passage. Very well ridden going into the Piaf. Keep him forward, super. And she actually came out a stride earlier there, which is exactly the right thing to do. He was just getting a little bit backwards in the Piaf. Oh no, that's a shame. Scary flower pot.
Something different about that one, as opposed to all the others around the arena.
Not trimmed quite the same way. But actually, I really think it's helped her because it's given a little bit more excitement in his steps, and that Piaf was really, really smart. Very nice energy in the Passage. This is my favourite horse that I've seen with the Piaf and Passage Tour. I love how much energy he's got and how much excitement he has in each step. And we can see that in the score as well. You know, 7.7 for the transitions as an average. I think that's very much the highest mark we've had for the transitions so far. And that's simply because you couldn't tell she was doing one. It was easy, it was effortless.
That running total already, high 72, 73, was pushing
and don't
74.
Forget she had that little spook as well, and to still be on that score. So the judges are very much like, they're enjoying what they're seeing. Good transition going into the collected canter. I like his frame. I like the fact that he's staying uphill. Very nice flying change. And, you know, she did a very good job in the walk. He got a little bit it was a bit tight and not quite as supple as we'd want to see. Get ready for the half pass. Think about the body bend, the suppleness. And you can see how straight she was coming into the canter pirouette. We've seen quite a few riders that have gone a little bit too much quarters in, which has then made the canter pirouette too big. There she came in straight with a little bit of shoulder fore, and the pirouette was a very good size, with good jump and good energy. Very good flying change. She could have done a little bit more there in the extended canter, be a little bit bolder, but, you know, maybe she's being a little bit safe because he can get a little bit excited. You know, we don't know. Once again, good crossing, good stepping in the half pass. And you can see there how she's really making him sit and wait on that outside hind leg. Very nice canter pirouette. And then she'll go into the shoulder fore just to make sure he doesn't do a flying change. Very well ridden. When we come into these two-time changes, the horse skipping every second stride. Lovely expression, super jump. This is very, very nice to watch. Very nice preparation into those one-time changes. I think she's going to be very excited once all the changes are finished and she's near the end now. And what I like as well is with this rider is that when you watch, she goes into every single corner. She's using every bit of the arena she possibly can to give herself more time to prepare for each movement.
And getting as close to those plant pots as possible.
Yes, with a slight inside bend so you don't spook. Very nice expression again there in the extended trot. And you can see here, look how deep she is in this corner, making sure that she uses the corner to get the body bend. You know, the body bend is essential. It's so important that the horse is supple to be able to keep the energy charging through the body, to keep the steps really active. Oh, it's going to be close. Lovely, yeah, super passage. Just the same there in the hold, he took his bottom, his left hip a little bit to the left, but I mean, it absolutely a joy to watch. I really, really, really like this combination. And I love how happy the horse is again here, how relaxed, and it just looked effortless through the whole entire test, that nothing was really, apart from that slight scary monster of being the tree, he was really with her the whole entire time.
And another horse that looks very pleased with the job they've just done.
And there's a real big key as well when you see the riders put the horse on the long rein at the very end and see how the horse's facial expressions are, because it really sort of tells you a little bit of a story about how they were during the test. And I think, you know, very relaxed and very happy.
73.265. That is the best we've seen so far. You called it very early on in the test, Bobby, but she's come out on top at the moment, and Denmark now in with a chance for another podium finish. 73.265 for Victoria, Vallentin and Brooklyn.
That's going to take some. That's a high score. That is a high score. That's going to take some beating, I think, a little bit. So I think she can take a bit of a breather for a moment, because that is a very high score. But you could just see when we've looked at, you know, quite a few now, how effortless it looked. And that's the whole point of dressage. We're supposed to look like we're not doing anything at all, and the horse is doing everything, which we all know deep down really is not happening. But that's the general illusion that we want to give and need to give. And you could really see there that it looked easy for her. Both of them were having a really lovely time, and that's what the judges see, and they want to give the marks.
And looking at the screen there, it is very early days in the team competition, but the teams with one score counting at the moment, it was so close. Two teams on 72, and then Denmark edge out in front with 73, but that could all change with the riders still to come and discard scores to be sorted out as the competition progresses. But now we move on to a rider riding as an individual. This is Benedikt Patchell for Hungary, riding Peter Patchell's Donna Friedrika. 12-year-old mare by Don Friedrico, out of a mare by Don Rico. Benedikt Patchell for Hungary. Rode on the Pony Championship teams in Malmo, Sweden back in 2015. Member of the Junior Championship team in Roosendaal in the Netherlands the following year as well. Some good wins in the Grand Prix Freestyles and the under-25s in Maria Kalnok here in Hungary since the resumption of competition. So another rider coming into this with very good form and full of confidence.
And that's so important there that we looked at that first centre line. And as riders, we're very much taught by our trainers that the first centre line is so important, because that's the first time the judges get to look at you. And technically, it's a sort of an easy mark to get. You've got to be dead straight and square in the halt, and the judges will give you the mark. So it's such a good point of when you come down that centre line, you've got to be right now. This is me, look at me, and I'm ready. I would just want to see a little bit more elasticity in his trot. He's got a lovely forearm, lovely frame, but I want to see his middle move a little bit more energy coming through the middle, so that he has a bit more body bend in the sideways work. And you can just see there in the score, the zigzag is 6.6 average, and that's just simply because he didn't quite have enough movement through the rib cage. And that's the same there. The passage was good, and then sadly just coming into the piaffe, the horse paused, so almost stopped in the piaffe. And that simply just comes down to suppleness. There wasn't enough suppleness through the body for the engine to keep going. And you can see here how much easier the horse finds it when he's on let's say the fence line. There he is able to use that a little bit and be straighter, then he naturally finds everything a bit easier. So you can see there in the piaffe how much better the transition was, because he wasn't having to be on a bend. He wasn't having to move his rib cage out of the way. When you look at the Passage here, he has a lot of height in front, but I would just like to see him a bit more closed underneath him, shorten that wheelbase a bit more so that his hind legs have a bit more power in the Passage. You can see the relaxation there in the extended walk. Once again, a bit more over track would be nice, but then that's the same when we talk about the transition into the Piaffe and the Passage. You just want to see that the horse almost bends a bit more at his stifle, so just below his hip, steps a bit more under his body, just to, you know, look for those higher marks. That was a shame. I mean, the change was clean, yes, but it wasn't on his aid, and you could just see where he came out of the corner by M, how the horse took his quarters to the right. Maybe he was thinking a bit half pass or a bit tightness, but then that affected the flying change. It's that dominoes effect. Good stepping in the half pass. Once again, a little bit more bend through the body. And again there in the pirouette, yeah, the pirouette was very nice, but I would like to see a little bit more time taken, and that's simply because he doesn't find it so easy to be adjustable through the rib cage. Very well ridden extended canter. Sitting him back on the hind legs, ready for that flying change. It needs to be opposite F. And again here, preparation, getting ready for the half pass. Just want to see that left shoulder slightly slow down and allow the right hip just to catch up, to almost do a C shape around the rider's right leg. See a little bit more weight on that left hind leg. You can just see there that he doesn't find it so easy to come up through the stomach and get that body bend.
And that bend through the half pass, does that help set them up for the canter pirouette?
It really does. It's literally the same movement. It's just one you're doing on a diagonal line and one you're doing on a very small circle. But it really is the same movement. And whereas, you know, it's a lovely picture. The horse and rider are looking great out there. But I'm talking from getting those slightly higher half mark more, a whole mark more, by having that adjustability through the body, just so the horse looks adjustable and finds it easy to bend a bit more through the rib cage. And that's exactly like you're saying there, through that half pass to help with those canter pirouettes.
And I don't think anything's going to get past our judges today.
Yeah. And everything you see there on the straight line, like the changes and everything, they were good, they were clean. Very good preparation there before M, just setting him into a few strides of Passage, just a little bit more energy for the extended trot. Coming into that Passage. And once again, you just want to see those hind legs really bend underneath the body and almost push his stomach up in the Passage, just to look like he's got a little bit more energy and a little bit more expression. And that's the difference when we talk a lot about that, John, between being in high 60s or being in your 70s. So when you're in your 70 mark, you've got your suppleness, you've got your energy, and you've got your elasticity. When you're in the higher sort of 60 mark, the 69, 67s and things, the overall picture looks nice, but you're just lacking that extra bit of suppleness, that half mark, that whole mark here and there when we talk about adjustability, and having that almost flow through the whole test, it looks effortless.
And I think it's one of those things, isn't it, with the Danish rider Victoria Vallentin. You talk about these things and you think, well, it must be quite hard to notice, but then when you do see a horse that's got that extra little bit of experience with the rider as well, you can sit back and admire it, and it is quite clear to see, isn't it?
Yes, and you almost don't look, and it's not so sort of nerve-wracking in a way, because you look at it, you think, oh yeah, that looks secure, that's secure. When they're not quite as supple, you almost think, oh, is there going to be a mistake there? And as a rider, you can't quite. You mentioned earlier about the rider almost sitting very quiet. That is very, very difficult to do if you have a lack of suppleness. a lack of body bend through the horse, because you don't have so much time for adjustability and preparation. We talk about it a lot because it is fundamental to be able to get through a test without making mistakes, and that's to have that suppleness, the adjustability that allows you to have one extra stride in the corner because you can move their rib cage out the way, or having chance to be able to do a quick half halt somewhere to quicken the hind leg, which you can't do if you don't have that suppleness.
And I think some of them, the Piaf Passage, there's been a few that I've watched, and I've sat here and I've been putting my leg on myself because as you spoke about the engine earlier, and stalling, and you can see those when you take a sit back and have a good look, you can see those as they're happening. And then when you have the comparison with something that a horse and rider that is very established at this level, you can really appreciate that difference.
You can, and it's so easy to sit here and be critical, and it's not what we're doing at all. We're just generally talking about the fact that where the next step is for that combination to be able to get those higher marks, because they're all very much good riders and good combinations. They are here, they're representing their country at the Europeans, but it's just talking about the differences between the winners, the ones who are in the middle, and the ones who are at the bottom of the class, where they've got to develop more to get those high 70s.
Well, it's on to another rider from Russia now, Daria Sushkinskaya, riding Charlie Brown. This one's a stallion, a 13-year-old, another Dutch-bred horse by Valdez, out of a mare by Polanski. And Daria has appeared on youth teams before, made her team debut in France in Vaudoubin back in 2015, and she's had this horse for around 2 years now, so she should know it fairly well. So we'll see how she fares in this intermediate too.
You can just see how she didn't get quite the highest marks for her first centre line. So she's just putting the marks up now, and he has a very high frame, but almost a little bit too high at times, which is where he's just dropping his stomach. So that's going to be a little bit costly, and she's going to want to be careful that when she comes through the Passage into the Piaf, that he doesn't get too high and almost stop stepping behind. Keep that forwardness, keep that stepping forward. You can see how active he was in the hind leg, but not quite as active in the front leg. And that's just, I think, a little bit because he's getting a bit too high in the contact and not using his six-pack. We want him to really use his core. That was a better Piaf, but you can just see when he comes into the transition from the Piaf Passage, he comes higher in his head carriage and doesn't actually take his body forward over his front feet. And you don't see many stallions because they're not always the easiest. So same as mares, really. But the stallions, they can be difficult to the extent of when you're in a test environment and when they feel nerves or they leave their friends that are in the warm-up. They have a tendency to, well, they can go one way or the other. They can either get very, very hot or they can drop you. So when a rider says drop you, what that actually means is they're not responding to really any of your aids, and it suddenly becomes very difficult out there. So it's not always the easiest ride to have a stallion, but when they're on your side, it can be one of the best rides that you've ever had. Just pop that flying change a little bit ahead of her, and you can just see here, like I was saying, where they sort of get a little bit difficult to ride. He's just got a little bit too high up in the head carriage. You can just see that she can't quite get her legs on enough and push him forward and take his weight over his front feet. So she's got to be a little bit careful that he doesn't pop in a flying change or something somewhere where he's not quite on her aids enough. Yeah, and that just showed there where he was almost a little bit backwards, so he oversat a bit there in the canter-pirouette. So you just want to see him a bit rounder, picking his stomach up, using his six-pack, so his hind legs can really push through and come up through the shoulder. It's coming into the half pass again, where you just want to see a little bit more time taken, him take a little bit more weight on his hind legs. Balancing him here on his outside hind leg, making him wait and sit. Yeah. And you can see there why that mistake happened. He just got a little bit too high, a little bit too slow in the hind leg. So like we spoke about earlier, John, he stalled his engine. So, that dreaded feeling when you're learning how to drive. But you can see here these mistakes she's having in the changes. He's just dropped her. He's not on her aid. So she's not having an easy time out there. And this can happen. And you could just see every movement she did, he just got that little bit higher and his tummy that little bit lower. So that's where the mistakes start creeping in and it becomes sadly very expensive. She did a great job there in the one-time changes. She really made sure that he was not going to drop her there and he was very much going to give her the changes. Sorry, John, just remind me how old he is?
This one is a 13-year-old stallion.
Yeah. So once again, he's going to know his job a little bit more. But I think the overall picture, yes, is nice, but it's costly today. And it's costly because I think a little bit that he's not with her as much as what he should be. And he's not helping her at all out there. So she hasn't had an easy ride at all. Yeah, a good square halt. And she did a very, very good job out there. That wasn't easy at all. And, if the stallion's on your side, brilliant. But if they get a little bit nervous out there, especially where we were talking about earlier, where the warm-up, they can see the warm-up. So they literally leave that herd environment to suddenly be on their own in the arena. That can really affect certain horses. And I find that it can affect the stallions a bit more. I mean, all my top horses have been stallions. I love riding them. But when they have days like, she's had today, then they can be a little bit tricky. And it's a shame because I think on a good day, he would look absolutely fantastic.
And especially with horses, you'd only have to warm them up in that warm-up arena for 15 minutes alongside another horse, and that would be it. They would be best friends, and as soon as you take them apart, there would be a lot of distractions there.
Yeah, absolutely. And it goes back to, what they are, their whole breed and everything, that they live in a herd and they join a very quick connection, like you just said. So, and it can affect the stallions as much as it can affect the mares, actually. So that is a shame, but I think she rode that very well and did everything she could with what she had.
So, next up is a rider from Great Britain. No teams here this week for Great Britain, but they've got two young riders competing as individuals and two in the under-25s as well. This is Ellen McCarthy riding for Watton's Farm. It's another stallion. This one's a 15-year-old by Laudanos out of a Giesberg mare, Sir Lancelot M. Ellen McCarthy riding. She was a member of the young rider team in Roosendaal in 2017, and she's picked up good placings in the past 12 months. Top 6 finishes in the Grand Prix Freestyle and under-25 Grand Prix in Gothenburg in February. And in July, she was in the top 10 in the Grand Prix Freestyle and under-25 Grand Prix in Grota-Brogel as well.
Now, I really, really enjoy this horse of Ellen's. I've actually been following a little bit what they've been doing. I'm very interested in him. She spent a lot of time abroad training, and I think that's such fantastic experience for the young riders to see how everything works abroad at different yards, because it's incredibly different than what we do in England. And so it's really developed her as a rider. I think she got to ride a lot of horses out there as well and experience different horses, which puts a lot of tools in your toolbox. And she's currently being trained with Charlotte Jordan, so she's got fantastic training as well now. So it'll be lovely to see how they do today. And he's such a beautiful colour. It's not often that you get to see the greys.
And this one's a 15-year-old. So would that have been there and done it? Has it been at that level of the sport?
I think so. I think Ellen got him when he wasn't quite at the level, so she's developed him further. But I'm pretty sure that he had an experience with competition already. Good. Yeah, good there in the trot zigzag. Just want to see a little bit more expression in his strides. Good. Here coming into the passage, good energy. Just wants to make sure she keeps riding him forward into the piaffe. Yeah, Very well ridden there. You could see from the passage, she kept saying, right, now we're piaffing, but it must stay forward. You must stay in front of me. Very nice frame. You can see after that passage how much her score has jumped up. Yeah. Oh, come on. Yeah, good. Well done. You can see there how she very quickly regenerated that quickness to get into the piaffe. That was very well ridden. And that's just a shame, there that he's gone into the canter. That would be costly. But that was the decision she made. You know, he was going to not come into the piaffe quick enough, so she made him quicker. But because of that, he then went into the canter. But that could have come off, and then she would have got a higher mark. So, you know, you have to make those decisions at the time. Just like to see him take his nose out a little bit more in the extended walk. Stretch through his whole body, thinking about his over track. And you can just see there how she's tickling him with her heels just to say, come on now, listen to me. Something's just about to happen. We're just about to go into the canter. So all the time she's saying to him, stay with me, listen to me. Good transition there into the canter. Yeah, very nice ridden flying change. And I really like this horse's canter. I think he's got good energy in the canter and a very nice frame. All the time there, you can see how she's giving with her hands to encourage him to keep self-carriage. Very clearly they're going into the shoulder four. Great preparation coming into the canter pirouette. Very nice. Yeah. Good extended canter. You can see how she's pushing him to the contact from the hind leg and then activating that hind leg for a very nice flying change. Very nice frame. And you can see, because his canter is so good, how it's bringing her mark right back up again. And you can see there she's going into the shoulder four. So the shoulder four is a very slight shoulder in, and it just helps the rider keep the straightness and the horse stepping underneath themselves. Very well done coming out of the canter pirouette. The second canter pirouette was much better than the first. His stepping out of it was much better. Come on, Ellen, you got this. Good, two-time changes so far. Good jump. Well done, good energy. You know, let's see if she can hit that 70%.
That score has been creeping up.
I know, I'm like,
and up, and her position has been creeping up as well. She's at the moment good enough for 5th.
Come on, let's just get these one-time changes out of the way. Yeah, good girl, good job. And that's the thing, as a rider, when you know you've made a mistake or there's been a little bit of a mishap that's very expensive, all the time you're thinking, right, come on, I've got to ride this movement. Ooh, good boy. I've got to go for it. I've got to get this. Now, it's a shame a little bit there about the canter trot, but she's still got it back and she's doing well here in the extended, keeping a very good uphill frame. Thinking about her preparation, coming back, resetting him. Yeah. Good transition there coming into the passage. Don't let him get too free. Keep him with you. Very good hold. Well done. Yeah, super job. She did brilliantly there because that was so costly, the mistake she had there coming out of the piaffe, because she would have lost the piaffe, she would have lost marks in the transition, and then she would have lost marks in the passage. That was incredibly expensive. So, you know, she's done it incredibly well. But this is very much a horse that's for the Grand Prix. He's got a super canter and a very good piaffe passage. And he hasn't got the strongest general working trot, collected trot. So, you know, coming through to that U25 Grand Prix and Senior Grand Prix, that's really going to be the test for him. But I think she'll be disappointed, which is a shame. But actually, I think she should be thrilled to be sitting on a score like that with such a costly mistake.
the second half, as I said, you could see the score edging up and up and up, and there we have it, 68.735, which is good enough for 5th place, which is a really good achievement for Ellen McCarthy. But I suppose as well, with the 2 British riders and the other riders here riding as individuals, you know, it must be nice to get a good test out the way first, but I suppose this opening competition for them, there's not the pressure on them that would be with the German riders or the Danish riders or the Dutch riders that are competing as a team here as well.
No, that's true. You know, you don't have the sort of pressure from the rest of the team, but I think it's almost worse because you put more pressure on yourself almost, because you don't have sort of the whole team there that's all getting their scores that sort of contribute to it all. It's very much sort of on you, and you've come all this way and it's very much on your score. I think it's very different when you travel a long way as a team, and even if you don't do the best test in the world and you're the drop score, you're still part of a team that could do incredibly well, so it's still worth the journey, you know. So I think almost you put more pressure on yourself, but to get that score after a very expensive sort of mistake and keeping her head, I think that's what's a fantastic achievement for her, that she was very grown up out there. She thought, okay, well, that didn't go quite right, but right, I've got this now. I know I can get high marks in his canter work. So she rode that, you know, brilliantly, like a true professional.
Well, next we've got Reuben Mengual Reg from Spain, riding the Hanoverian 11-year-old gelding by Benetton Dream Belfast. Very active warm-up, very active entrance as well.
Yeah, absolutely. He was definitely making sure that the horse stayed in front of him in that extended canter before he came down the centre line. Only 19, incredibly young to be doing this, so it's brilliant.
This is a championship debut here.
So far, the horse is showing a really lovely picture. Good expression through the front legs in the extended trot. Just want to see him a little bit more engaged from the hind leg. But once again, he's got a really good frame in front that isn't changing. And I think the reason, you know, we talk about double marks and things like that, the reason why the zigzag is double marks is because it's so difficult to get the correct bend and the correct angle in the changeover. So the half pass to the right is a lot easier for this combination than the half pass to the left. So when he started to the half pass to the right, he had a lot more suppleness and a lot more bend, but slightly lost it in the half pass to the left where the horse went slightly quarters leading. You want to think about keeping the correct energy coming into the passage. The horse still stepping, coming underneath his body. You can see every now and then how he's almost going out behind with that right hind leg. So you want to make sure that the energy is staying underneath the body. Yeah, you can just see there 6.1 as an average in the passage, and that's just because he didn't have the regularity. Every now and then this right hind leg here takes a slightly larger backward step than the left hind leg. Yeah, much better Piaf. Well done there. Good in the stepping. Kept him forward and into the contact. Yeah, you can just see there in the passage that you want the horse to take more weight behind and have a more forward active hind leg. Be a little bit careful that the walk doesn't get too quick. You take your time, you allow the horse to have an over track, allowing the horse to step under his body. You can just see how he's riding that collected walk very carefully so the horse doesn't show the judges any tension at all. And, you know, like we were saying, it's so difficult, that collected walk, because you need them active, because you've got a counter transition, but activate them too much, and then you've got Piaf. It's very, very difficult. Good frame in the canter. Just want to see him almost push his pelvis more under his stomach and take a bit more weight behind. And there again, we are where I said earlier about that half pass to the left in the trot zigzag. The exact same thing there happened in the half pass to the left, where the horse, and again here, goes slightly quarters leading, so he doesn't have to take so much weight on that right hind leg. And that showed again the same in the passage. Bit more energy there needed for that extended canter, but well ridden for the flying change. You can start thinking about the preparation. So the trot half pass to the right, you found much easier, and you can see again there how much more supple the horse is in the half pass to the right, and how much easier and flowing it looked. Yeah, and again there in the cant pirouette, he did a good job there as well, because the horse was going to go one more stride, so he just had to correct the horse to say wait for me. And you can just see there when the horse does a flying change, it almost takes the hind leg out to the side to ride the flying change. And that's just because he needs to take a little bit more engagement in that hind leg and sit a little bit more to have those changes sitting with a bit more height in front. And to activate the canter here, get the jump. That was a shame, that was costly there. And again, that's a shame. And I think a little bit, what happened was he didn't quite have the energy behind, the straightness enough through the body, so when he asked for the flying change, there was a mistake, and therefore it was costly for the rest of the one-time changes. Well ridden into that trot transition, and good expression here. Oh, just as I say that every time, that was good, and then slightly loss of rhythm in the extended trot. I must jinx, I'm going to wait till next time, till the end, before I say anything. Yeah. I think this passage is the best passage the horse has done in the test, and I think the horse is completely relaxed now. Coming down that last centre line. And he just steps out with that right hind leg. And we can just see that, I think,
Reuben
very nice
Mengual
combination.
Reg,
I think the horse just has to get a little bit stronger down that right side to help him a little bit more in the passage and that left canter. You can just see there every opportunity he kind of wants to take more weight on that left hind. And that's just down to strengthening. Same as us, we're left-handed or right-handed. And I think very much that's something that they'll be working on at home and in training. And that just showed sadly in a couple of his marks. So that's something just to be developed for the future. But I think, you know, very nice combination. But the exciting thing of it is that there is a lot more to come for both of them. And I think you said 19 years old, is he?
Yes.
I mean, that is really no age, is it?
Not
to be
at
going
all.
to do to two. So I think it's very exciting and a very exciting future for the rider.
Will be interesting to see, because the Spanish team, they have 4 riders. They have a team eligible here today, so another score for them. It is so hard to work out the team scores in the early stages, when of course there's going to be a discard score somewhere along the way. Best 3 scores to count, but it is very tricky. They're just, I think, still going through the marks and the scores for that test, and then we'll be able to see the score for Reuben, and then we'll see the score for Spain as well. But even in these early stages, the Netherlands and the German team look very strong indeed. So we just await the scores for Reuben, and we move on to a rider representing Hungary. She'll have a good following here. She'll have the home support behind her. Jasmine Yom Tov, Hexagon's Zadine, 16-year-old mare by Hexagon's Louisville. Yasmin riding for the home nation of Hungary, as she has done at 5 Youth European Championships as a children, pony and under-25 member. And recently here she rode 2 horses to 1st and 3rd in the under-25 Grand Prix. That was on the 7th of August. So, another young rider, just 18, but great form of late.
Yeah, and you can see that simply there, just around the outside of the arena, how she quickly activated the horse when he wanted to stop piaffing. She was very quick to say, come on, listen to me, preparing to get ready to come down this centre line. So I think very much she's going to be on it. So far, so good. Good entry. Very bold. Can't quite see from this angle if she's on the centre line. Very nice expression. Very nice frame. When we look at the trot work, we always want to see a real clear 2 beat and a good clear diagonal pair in the extended trot. You can see there already 7.8 for the entry. And when we talk about the zigzag, that changeover is absolutely crucial to how the half pass is going to turn out. You want to take your time, slowly bend the horse to the right, go into the shoulder 4, and then ask for the half pass. Nice transition going into the passage. Clear difference from the collected trot into the passage.
Do you think having such a big entrance can almost in a way get the judges on side very early on?
Yeah, judges on side, but also gives you a good starter on scores, because if you look at the scores that are on the bottom of the screen, if for example the rider gets a 5, it really takes them a while to get the score back up. So if you can start on, say, hypothetically a 74 because you entered with a very good score, that really helps you to try and stay up into the higher levels of the marking system. But it's a little bit shame here. She's dropped quite a lot there, because in that first piaffe, he stopped piaffing and he wasn't regular, which is such a shame, because as a rider, she really tried to prepare for that on the outside of the arena, which we were discussing earlier. So it's a little bit of a shame there that happened, that he didn't quite stay quick enough for her and quick enough on his legs. You want to imagine when they're piaffing that they're on hot coals and they don't want to hang around for too long on one spot. And sadly, he just didn't give her enough energy there. And also, it's the first ride as well that we've seen it's not overly short in their reins in the collected walk, and that just basically shows that she had to ride the walk very clever, that if she over collected him, she wasn't going to get a positive result. So she just very cleverly kept the rein slightly longer, so she knew then, okay, she may be 1 mark down in the collected walk, but is a lot better than getting a 4 for something if he starts piaffing or getting too tense. So these are decisions that you make when you're out there, but also when you're at home training, running through the test. You find the bits that think, okay, well, I can't over collect here, because if I do, it's actually more costly than if I just lose 1 mark and have him a little bit freer. Just want to see him take a little bit more weight on that outside hind leg. He almost turned a little bit too much on that inside shoulder. So you just want to see a little bit more weight on the outside hind leg and a little bit more body bend in those pirouettes. Yeah. You get the good uphill frame in the extended canter. Very nice flying change. Just take a little bit more time there, leaving the track for the half pass. And this is something the riders learn over time, spending more time out there, that actually there's a lot more time between each movement. Did a very good job there. He almost stalled again a little bit too much in those first 2 strides, and she did a great job to quicken him while she was in the canter pirouette. Good job in those 2-time changes. Very good jump. You can just see here how she's making a little bit rounder. Getting a little bit more jump in the collected canter, ready for the 1-time changes. Activating him with these quick jumps from one leg to the other. She had one change there, a little bit short behind, but apart from that, the rest were good. Good preparation there coming into the extended trot. And then collecting him again back on the hind leg, getting ready for the passage down the centre line. And you can just see in the background, she comes down the centre line, where she's got Chef Ankie van Grunsen's husband watching thoroughly. So I wonder if he's training her at the moment. Talking about the crossing a little bit, you can just see his arms moving there.
Yeah, I just spotted that.
He's crossing. Yeah, just crossing a little bit in with the front legs in the passage there, that he's not taking a clear diagonal pair. But I think, you know, really, really good. She did a great job because she had a few little blips in there, especially with that first piaffe, and to bring it right up, well, the provisional there of 68. You know, a very good job there, because there was moments where she had to really, really ride him and, you know, really keep them together. And at such a young age, she's got a lot of experience when you watch her ride. So I think, again, another very exciting rider to have for the future.
And she's obviously got very good backing behind her, and she'll be getting some excellent advice, I'm sure.
Oh, absolutely. They'll, you know, most probably what most riders will do, they'll sit down, watch the video, sit and analyse it, but not in a negative way, in a way, okay, well, this actually needs to be better, but it's all positive to think, okay, tomorrow, when you come out here, you've got to do this a bit quicker, or prepare here a bit more, and that's so important, because that's where you get those extra little bit of marks from. And you can see there, I think, is that Ankie as well with the blonde hair? Can't see too clearly, but I think they're just there watching over the young riders, and then they'll discuss a little bit and talk about how they thought the test went.
68.353, the score then for Hungary's Jasmine Yom Tov. Sixth best of the scores so far, so as we said, a good test there, a good performance. Still the best of the scores, Danish rider Victoria Vallentin, 73.265. Back to the German side, Hannah Erbe with Carlos 609, a 13-year-old gelding by Carabas out of a Weltmare mare. The Germans in very good form here at the Youth European Dressage Championships. The two riders that have already gone for Germany, Raphael Netz, he scored 72.441, and Alexa Westendarp, who scored 70.530. So looking very good for them in the team competition today. And Hannah has won team and individual gold as a junior in both Vidauban in France 2015 and Aliva in 2016, along with young rider medals from Roosendaal in 2017 as well.
Well, this looks pretty smart, if I do say so myself. I love the fact that how much airtime and expression the horse had in the extended trot, and look at that, starting with 77%. That's what you want. That's what you want. You want to start that high so that, you know, you try and stay up there. Lovely extended trot, very nice zigzag. You can see how the horse is keeping the energy all the time with every single step. 1, 2, 1, 2, and you'll see the energy now as she quickens him and half halting a little bit there with her knee and seat to prepare him for the passage, where he really kept the same height. You can really see how he's keeping the height there in the passage, swinging from one leg to the other. You can see there that the passage is definitely a little bit stronger than his piaffe, but he kept stepping in the piaffe, he kept the energy in the piaffe, and a very good frame. Just quickening there with her heels to say, come on, stay forward, stay stepping forwards, keep the energy. Yeah, much better. Very, very nice horse. She wants to be a little bit careful though he doesn't get any higher. Okay, you can just see that 6.5 there for the piaffe, where it wasn't quite as good as the passage, and then there's 7.6 in the passage. So he's definitely got a stronger passage than the piaffe. Very well ridden. in the extended walk. It's so important in the extended walk that you keep a clear 4 beat. You know, the easiest way to see that is a nice V shape. If you see there, when the outside hind leg almost touches the inside foreleg, that there'll be a V shape under the tummy. And that's when you know that you've got a good quality walk. Very nice. And what I like to see here, how the rider is very much riding seat to hand. So you can see how she's holding him with her legs, and pushing him into the contact, into an uphill frame for that self carriage. Just want to take the shoulder a little bit more there in the half pass. That's a shame. He just lost. We've used this term quite a few times today, John, haven't we? But like, he's just stalled again. That car engine feeling when you try and do that hill start in your driving test, it doesn't quite go to plan. That's a little bit what happened there. Again, in her canter pirouette, he didn't keep stepping. He didn't keep the jump. So therefore, that would sadly be quite costly.
It must be quite difficult during a manoeuvre such as the pirouette, if you do lose that energy, to get it back as quickly as possible.
Yeah, it's incredibly difficult, and the best way to sort of do it is think about making the canter pirouette slightly bigger. So if you start feeling that they're losing the energy and they're almost like that stalling feeling like there, you want to make the canter pirouette bigger. Can you see that she stepped bigger, making the horse actually take the weight behind? The worst thing to do is over collect, because then you lose all energy behind. So you want to make them think when that happens that they have an exit, and that's forward. They must take a forward stride to regenerate the engine.
I was very impressed how quickly she pulled that back together then, because part of me wishes, when I do my hill starts now, I wish I could pull it back together as quickly as that.
Yeah, not have the awful rollback when you didn't quite get the handbrake quick enough. Yeah, no, exactly. She very much there did get the quickness, and she was very much ready for that second pirouette on the right, so he didn't do it to her again. Very nice one-time changes. And it's such a shame because she was really up there in the score. I mean, 70% is still a fantastic score, but that first canter pirouette was just a little bit costly, which has taken her score down. And again, there you can see how he dropped into trot a little bit too early. So once again, that will be a point off from every judge. Very nice expression in the extended trot. Good transition coming into the passage. You can really see how he's going from one leg to the other. She wants to keep the energy. Good job. Oh, stand still. That's a shame. It was a lovely halt. He just moved. That's a shame. That'll also lose some marks as well. So it's so easy to lose a mark here and a mark there, but when you've got 5 judges, that all of a sudden becomes incredibly costly. But I think, absolutely beautiful horse and rider. Very exciting to see how this combination go in the future, and they're going to have a very, very good score as well. But you can just see there, if you can just get a little bit more energy in the piaffe to get those higher marks, and then just work a little bit on those canter pirouettes, keeping him going forward and then stepping sideways so he doesn't oversit and get too slow, then she's really going to get right up there in those higher marks.
71.294. It is a very good score there for Hannah Herbert and Carlos 609. And I suppose in a way with Hannah, as we spoke about with Ellen McCarthy a little earlier as well, they've made those mistakes and they've still scored very highly. So in a way they must be feeling quite confident going into the individual competitions later in the week as well.
Yeah, and I bet you anything those mistakes will not happen in their next test, because they'll be ready for them. So they'll come in and they'll think, okay, right, this could happen, right, I'm ready for it, I'm going to make sure that I keep active and I keep going, and I don't let them get too slow in the piaffe, and she watched those canter pirouettes. So, it is annoying when it happens, but at the same time, it's something that you very much stay on top of and you're not going to really let happen again.
Another good score for the German team there as well. It's looking very good for them. Can the Netherlands keep in touch? We'll find out now, because next we've got Febe van Zwambacht with Edson, Dutch-bred 11-year-old gelding by Winning Mood. Next to go for the Netherlands team. very much in contention for the gold medal in the under-25s today. They won individual bronze as a junior in Spain in 2016 and as a young rider in Fontainebleau in 2018 as well. Numerous team silver medals as a pony in 2011 and 2013, as a junior in 2016 and a young rider 2 years ago.
Very secure picture already with her coming down the centre line. Very good halt. And when you come out of the halt, you don't want to see too many walk strides. You want to come out with power straight into that trot transition. And here, from a rider's point of view, you'll be thinking coming through the corner, energizing the horse, ready for the extended trot. Yeah, very nice expression. Look at that.
Interesting breeding, this one as well. It's by Winning Mood, which was a very successful show jumper.
Do you know what I found as well with the horses and the show jumping? My top Grand Prix horse was show jumping bred, and they tend to have a very, very good piaffe passage. And I think it's just basically where they're built to have a very powerful hind leg, aren't they?
I suppose, yeah. I'd never looked at it that way.
Neither have I until that moment, but there we go.
It just struck me then, looking at the breeding of this one. We've seen a lot with very, very good dressage bloodlines from very successful dressage stallions. And then this one just stood out as being by Winning Mood, which was a fantastic show jumper. And very interesting to see that it's producing horses to a very good standard in the world of dressage as well.
Very nice passage. Good transition into the piaffe. Coming out there, you just want to be able to have a little bit more adjustability in the piaffe, being able to quicken him and being able to get the energy to come out. And that's a little bit what we're missing today. I'm seeing fantastic transitions into the piaffe, but not quite enough activity or quickening adjustment in the piaffe to get back out of it. So you'll see here a fantastic transition into the piaffe, but now she wants to make him a little bit quicker just to help her out. And that's where that next level is, that next step is to get those higher marks. Very nice energy there in the passage. Lovely frame. And you can just see there, if we look at the transition mark, a 6.9, and that's just basically showing that she didn't quite have enough energy to come out of the piaffe into the passage. But that's incredibly hard to do, to be able to change the rhythm and the speed whilst you're within the movement, especially within the piaffe. Good. She was very clever there in the walk. You know, she wasn't able to really get her leg on and adjust the walk too much. She did a great job there to get into the canter transition. Very nice flying change. You can just see that 6.8 there in that collective walk, where it just wasn't quite rideable. You could just see there that she was having to be just a little bit careful. Nice body bend in the half pass. And it's nice to see how much he's collecting here to come into the preparation, to come into the canter pirouette. Good job. He's got such a huge movement through his forearm, and you can really see that in the canter pirouette, that she had to really prepare and make sure actually he was sitting on the hind leg and staying with her. You can just see there again, he got a little bit high in the extended canter, so that huge forearm, but she just slightly there lost his tummy, lost him using that six pack and getting that hind leg underneath him. So this is where the half pass will really help there, just to get him to sit back again on the hind leg. And you can see here how she really makes him sit and wait and collects in the canter pirouette. Yeah, very nice. That was a very nice canter pirouette. Yeah, 7.5 with a half pass. Lovely. Very nice flying changes. And she'll be getting him ready for these one-time changes now. keeping her really on his seat and not letting him get too big in the one times. A little bit of a shame there. He was a little bit late to her aid on the first change, so we jumped together, and then sadly she had a mistake there. And I think that could be a little bit of a tendency that he has, where he gets so big in front with huge expression, but then gets a little bit slow in the hind leg, and that's something that she is very aware of. And you can see that when she's riding him, how much she's preparing and revving that engine before she does every movement. Again here, look, she pops him into the passage, revs the engine, gets him ready, come down that center line into the passage again. Good expression. Very nice hold stand still. Yeah, very good job. I think very, very nice horse. And I really, really enjoyed watching that. And you can see actually how she really set him up. So there was a couple of things in there, shame about the one-time changes. But she rode every single movement, and you could visually see how much preparation she put into everything. And that to be able to have that sort of ability in her riding to do that's very exciting.
Seems to be really good support here this week for the Netherlands team as well. I know they completely erupted earlier this afternoon when they won the gold in the young riders, and they're very pleased with that because it's the fourth best score we've seen, 71.647. So 3 riders gone for the Netherlands, and it's looking good for them as well. The German scores 70.530, 72.441 and 71.294. The Netherlands 3 scores now 69.265 and 72.882, and then that score there of 71.647. So looking good so far.
For the Dutch team,
tight, isn't it?
44.5.
This is when it gets exciting, when it starts working towards the team stuff.
And it seems to come really quickly, doesn't it? You watch the first half of the competition and you've sort of got no idea how the team competition and the team results playing out, and then all of a sudden you go, wow, this is quite close actually, and then things really start to hot up. So another team that are in contention for a medal are Denmark. Really good score from Victoria Vallentin, 73.265. We saw her a little earlier, which puts the team in a very good position. And this now is Mette Strandby Hansen, the third rider for Denmark, with a 15-year-old Belgian warm-blood gelding by Sirapel. This is Foco Loco W. Rider that's had some very good national form recently, but it is her very first championship appearance.
Very nice preparation coming into the centre line. Just a shame he's just not quite standing still, and he just left his right hind out a little bit there. So you just want to make sure, just for those hind marks, the horse really stands there, looking for the horse to stand. Immobility, they must not move. Very good preparation there coming through the corner. You could really see how the horse was bending around her inside leg, and she was setting up for the extended trot. And again here coming through the corner, making sure he's bending around her inside leg. And you can see there 5.9 for that first centre line. So, you know, it takes a while to get the scores back up again. It's expensive when that first centre line isn't high enough marks. So the passage is to start between R and B. Judges will be looking at self-carriage, the balance, the straightness in the piaffe to make sure the horse isn't moving the hips left or right. Nice stepping in the piaffe. Good transition out. I want to look at the cadence, the regularity in the passage. Is the horse elastic? Does it look easy? Is he jumping almost like he's on springs? And then 8 to 10 steps in the piaffe of continuous stepping. Yeah, very well ridden again there in the piaffe, and a very good transition out. You can see how she's gone right up to that 71% there because she's getting such good marks with the piaffe passage. Yeah, nice over track. Right, just to see a little bit more freedom through the shoulder. A bit more ground cover there in the extended walk. And you can really use that corner there in the collective walk to almost leg yield the horse to the left, just so you get a little bit more body bend around your inside leg and just stop the horse from getting a little bit tense. Good uphill carriage.
Looks to be another rider that's been using every inch of the arena. And I think it was the other Danish rider, Victoria Vallentin, that we made that comment about a little earlier in the competition.
Yes, absolutely. That the fact that use every bit of the arena because it gives you a lot more time, and she really is. You know, you can see every corner she's leg yielding him away from the inside leg so that she's got him between both legs and both reins. And you'll see again here how she'll ride the flying change right opposite the marker, and then all of a sudden she's pushing him here, bending him right through the corner. And again here she's already started the bend to the right for the half pass, half halting him on the outside rein to make him sit on the outside hind leg. Very good there. Good, you've got your preparation, activating him with her inside leg to keep the jump. Yeah, well done. I think the steps were good. I'd like to have seen him with a little bit more inside bend and a bit rounder, but the steps and the size of the pirouette was very good. Now we'll come in for these changes. 1, 2, 2, 2, 3, 2, 4, 2, 5, 2, 6, 2, 7, 2. Very good. And that's when things get a little bit complicated when you have to think about counting as well. Once again, the preparation there coming through the corner, the body bend, getting ready for these one-time changes where she's keeping the jump. Very good. Yeah, very well ridden. Lovely changes. It's a shame there. He was just a little bit slow to respond to her aid of asking to trot. It's crazy to think that she's on 72% so far, and it's only 4th place, isn't it? It's crazy to think the scores that everyone's getting today and how well they're doing. Nice impulsion extended trot. Good impulsion coming into the passage. I was wondering when a horse would do that. So far, everyone's been very lucky, but the horse is anticipating that halt, which is a shame because it interrupts the passage, and then the halt is a little bit backwards and not straight. So that is a shame that's happened. But that is only the first horse that's done that actually today.
Looks a good provisional score, around 71-72. And with that very good score from Victoria Vallentin as well, it's Denmark team very much in contention for that gold medal today.
But it's crazy when you look at how the scorings worked for her, that, you know, she started, I think it was a 5.9 from her first centre line. How costly, when you spoke about earlier, saying, you know, how important is it to have that first centre line? I think this was a prime test to show that, because, you know, if she had that first centre line and even got a 7, think how much more from 5 judges, how much more her mark would have gone up alone just for that. So it's so important, that first centre line. If you think about, you know, a halt really is just having a correct halt, square and round, and you can easily get those higher marks.
Team score there for Denmark as well, 73.265 for Victoria Vallentin, and 71.853 for Anne Mette Strandby Hansen with Foco Loco W. It is so close. We can see there the team scores: 145.118 for Denmark, 144.529 for the Netherlands, 143.735 for Germany. So there is so much pressure on those fourth and final riders for each of those teams. It is all very much to play for. Are you taking any bets, Bobby?
I'm not getting involved right now, but I know from experience, being the fourth rider right now will be absolutely nerve-wracking. And I think, you know, the chef d'equipes and the selectors really choose and carefully think about who they want to be their fourth rider, because it's going to be a lot of pressure.
There is indeed. A slight pause in the competition now again for arena maintenance, and we're back in around 15 minutes time with the third and final section, the conclusion of this, the under-25s Team European Dressage Championships. So 15 minutes and we're back with the conclusion.
Turn these words into a song for them to sing along to when I'm gone, for them to sing along to when I'm gone. Oh Lord, let me be the one to set him free. I will give him every part of me. Put my heart where everyone can see. They can call me whatever they want, call me crazy. You can call me whatever you want, but that won't change me. I just don't care what the world says, I'm gonna make it. They can call me whatever they want, so what if I am crazy, crazy? Crazy, crazy. Oh Lord, this is so much harder than I thought, but I will give him everything I've got. One day I am gonna prove them wrong. Oh Lord, let me be the one to set them free. I will give him every part of me. Put my heart where everyone can see. They can call me whatever they want, call me crazy. You can call me whatever you want, but that won't change me. I just nights I wish that my lips could build a castle. Some nights I wish they just fall off. But I still wake up, I still see your ghost. Oh Lord, I'm still not sure what I stand for. What do I stand for? What do I stand for? Most nights I don't know anymore. Stops my bones from wandering. Just who I am, who I am, oh, who am I? Well, some nights I wish that this all would end, 'cause I could use some friends for a change. And some nights I'm scared you'll forget me again, but some nights I always win. But I still wake up, I still see your ghost. Oh Lord, I'm still not sure what I stand for. What do I stand for? What do I stand for? Most nights I don't know. So this is it. I sold my soul for this. Wash my hands of that for this. I miss my mom and dad for this. No. When I see stars, that's all they are. When I hear songs, they sound like a swan. So come on, oh come on, Well, see guys, that is all. 5 minutes in and I'm bored again. 10 years of this, I'm not sure if anybody understands. This one is not for the folks at home. Sorry to leave, mama had to go. Who the fuck wants to die alone? All dried up in the desert sun. My heart's breaking for my sister and the calm that she called up. And then I look into my nephew's eyes. Man, you wouldn't believe the most amazing thing. They can
And now, ladies and gentlemen, we continue the FEI Intermediate 2. It's the team test.
Welcome back
of
to
the
Budapest,
25
Hungary.
Riders.
You join us here at the Youth Dressage European Championships of 2020, with this week the focus being on the young riders and the under-25s. The young rider team event, the medals were decided a little earlier this afternoon, with the Dutch team taking gold, the Germans taking silver, and Denmark finishing in bronze. And it looks to be those three nations that battle it out in the team competition here for a podium finish today in the under-25s. Denmark lead, Germany, Netherlands, they're all thereabouts as well. Less than 1 mark separating the three teams. It could not be closer. Bobby Hale is back with me for the third and final part of this competition, the conclusion. And we get back underway with the rider from France, Rachel Bastardy, with Fandango Darks, a 15-year-old Hanoverian gelding, first to get us back underway. Rachel, a member of the young rider team in 2016 in Oliva in Spain, wins in the Grand Prix Freestyle, the Under-25 Grand Prix, and the Intermediate 2s in Onago in Italy back in September, and Nice in October as well.
Good start to the test. Good bold entry down the centre line. A little bit of shame that it wasn't a square halt, but a very good trot off into a very good expression in the extended trot. Very nice uniform bend in the half pass to the right. And when we're talking about that uniform bend, simply that banana shape around the rider's inside leg, that form of suppleness through the rib cage. Now we look at the zigzag being double marks, and that's generally because it's one of the harder movements to be able to get the changeover, keeping the suppleness, keeping the rhythm, and getting the body bend within the half passes. Very clear transition into the passage. Just wants to keep that energy in the piaffe. You can clearly see the horse is stepping, but you just want to see a little bit more energy, a little bit more spring within each step. See more activity here in the second half of the passage. A little bit more boldness and courage within both of them to go a little bit more and ask a bit more. Exactly there, better in the piaffe, and a bit braver to ask a bit more. Yeah, 7 for the piaffe, very good. You can see a clear difference from the first piaffe to the second, where the horse had a bit more forwardness and a bit more quicker steps, a bit more activity itself within the piaffe. Very nice energy in the extended walk. Just see there, collecting him into that collected walk where, you know, it can be incredibly difficult, this collected walk. It is also double marks with the extended, especially when you get to this level, and it's very difficult to keep the relaxation in the collected walk because the horse is thinking piaffe or thinking those more advanced higher movements. Good bold flying change in the medium canter. And good preparation as well coming into the half pass to the left. You know, she started the preparation from the corner. Very nice preparation there coming in to the canter pirouette. It's just a little bit shame there she didn't go one more stride in that canter pirouette, as he was a little bit quarters leading on the way out. Very nice frame in the extended canter, and super flying change as well. It's very important the flying change is opposite the marker, not on the turn, or as that is a slight cheat. Very nice preparation again there, going into the half pass. She's doing a really lovely job with this horse. You know, it doesn't have the biggest movements we've seen out of all the horses today, but she's riding it incredibly correct, being incredibly accurate, and there she's still pulling in the marks. Well ridden there in that second canter pirouette to the right. And we're looking for a clear 6 to 8 strides.
She looked to go very brave in the extended canter. She looked as if she really pushed that horse through that through the pace.
Yes, absolutely. I think, you know, she feels very secure up there, and she knows very much that she has to push him to get those marks. She can't, oh, that's a shame, they just jumped together in that one time, but she knows that she can't just sit there and let him do it, because he doesn't have some of the, you know, extravagant movement that some of the others have had. She's got to make sure that she really goes for every movement she can and try not to have any mistakes. It's a bit of a shame there in the one-time changes where she had 2 mistakes. Very nice extended trot, very straight, good uphill carriage. You want to rev that engine behind, keep the energy coming from the hind leg, swinging through the back into an elastic contact. When we talk about the passage, we want to keep the energy. And a good finish. Really good job. I think, you know, a lot to come in the future with these two as well. But what I really liked was that, okay, like I said earlier, he hasn't got the biggest of movements, but she rode every single mark out of him that she could, and she rode him incredibly correct. Such a shame with those one-time changes, but everything else, she did a fantastic job, and she presented the test beautifully. Be
interesting to see how those scores come through. France without a team here for the under-25s, but they have got 2 riders riding as individuals, and the second of those French riders follows immediately after Rachel. And there the score for Rachel Bastardy, 68.647.
At age 67.647.
When you look at the scores there, you can see C's on 70%. That's incredibly good because C sees the majority of straightness. So right on that centre line, the judge would have seen the zigzag. Was the horse straight? Would have seen if you were on the centre line coming into canter pirouettes. Did you finish, you know, the half passes correctly on the centre line? So to get such a high mark from C just proves how accurately she rode that test.
So the second rider from France now, Cedric Gallinard. Scherzo ZC is his ride. He member of the under-25 team in Exlu in the Netherlands back in 2018. He was on the young rider team at last year's under-25 European Championships in Italy as well. And towards the end of last year, he picked up several good international wins, including the under-25 Intermediate 2 in Saumur. So some good form already for him. He's 24 years of age, and he rides the 18-year-old gelding by Olympic Pharaoh. Scherzo ZC for France, Cedric Gallinard.
I have to say there, John, well done pronouncing that name. That was very good. I would have got a bit mixed up with the S's and the Z's there, I think.
I think the key is not to think too much about it.
Very well ridden coming down the centre line. You could just see there as he entered. I'm not sure if he tripped or if he spooked, but the rider did a good job just to get him back again, listening, coming down that centre line. Good expression in the extended trot. You can really see that the rider pushed and really wanted to go for it. He's got to be a little bit careful that the horse doesn't get any higher in his head carriage. Take a little bit of a slower tempo in the half passes, just so the horse doesn't look a little bit out of balance there. And it's just taking that moment of a deep breath. The moment you do the changeover and start the first stride of the half pass, take a deep breath and a pause almost to let the horse just take a moment to get ready for the half pass. Very nice transition into the passage. Good energy in the Piaffe. Just would like to see him a touch more forward stepping in the Piaffe. Remember, they can move at least 1 metre in the Piaffe forward. The judges don't want to see it too much on the spot that it's almost backwards. Good energy in the passage. You can just see him there tickling him with his heels to say, come on, stay forward, stepping forward. Much better. That was a much better Piaffe. Good. Again, he just wants to have him just a touch rounder and just using his stomach muscles a little bit more there in the passage. More higher marks, a bit more energy. Good walk. He doesn't want it to be any quicker. Just wants to take a bit of time. Allow the overtrack, allow the horse to step through under his body, allowing a clear overtrack. You can just see there how the horse is ready to canter a few strides before he was, just coming up a bit in the head carriage. Here we come into this medium canter with the flying change. Very well ridden, which is not an easy movement at all because you're almost pushing them off the hind leg, then suddenly ask for a movement that they need the hind leg. Keeping the jump sideways. Just see there that his quarters leading. So when we talk about that, we just mean that his left hip is in front of his left shoulder. The shoulder always wants to be leading slightly in front of the hip, and that's the same in the half passes and the canter-pirouettes we were discussing earlier, how similar the same movement is. And really, it's pretty much the same. It's just that one's on a diagonal line and then one's on a very small dinner plate. And what I like about this, combination is the rider's not afraid to really push forward. Almost sometimes he just needs to take a slight, deep breath and a moment just to wait. But it's great to see how bold and how much he's brave to push for every movement. Good, nice preparation to the half pass to the right. And just see there where he's keeping a slight shoulder fore angle to allow the horse to sit on that left hind leg and step. Yeah, good job, very good job there. And one thing when we talk about canter pirouettes is that we think that it's just turning, but it's still a forward movement. We always think about one side, one stride sideways, one stride forward. So there's always a stepping stride for that hind leg to come underneath the horse's body. Very nice two-time changes. And we were saying earlier how the three-time changes are so much easier for the riders because the horse's canter is 3 beat. So these 2 times aren't always the easiest for the riders to feel the right rhythm and the right tempo to get a nice clean change. And we've got the horse skipping one stride to the other, jumping through. Very good job. And then this really tricky trot transition that you really have to practice a lot at home because, once again, the horse isn't expecting to suddenly trot at sea after your flying changes. So it's something that the riders really have to make sure that they have a very black and white aid so the horse understands fully what the rider wants them to do. Good expression, very good transition back from the extended trot. And you can see almost that extended trot really helped the energy within the passage coming down the centre line. There's a lot more expression and elasticity within each step that the horse is doing. And stand. Good halt, well done. Yeah, very good, really lovely combination. And I think he'll be absolutely thrilled with that. I think a big grin on his face there, and rightly so. I think at times he could have just taken a moment, just a half halt, just a slight pause, but I love the fact that he was so bold and he went for every single mark that he could out there.
He really pushed hard towards the end of that test as well, from what I could see, and it was a very strong finish. And it's another partnership that we saw the running total creeping up throughout the test, and the position that was creeping up as well. So a lot to take away from that test for Cedric Gallinard. And there's the score, 69.441. Very good score from the judge at M, 73.088.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's always very interesting to see what the judges' marks are because, like we were saying, that they're all seeing it from a different angle. They're all in a different position, so they're always going to see something just that little bit different.
Very nicely done there from the Frenchman Cedric Gallinard. Now another rider here this week is an individual from Russia, Alexandra Maksikova, with Bojangles. 5 Youth European Championship team appearances for Alexandra from 2014 to 2018. The Russian team came 4th back in 2018 in Fontainebleau. And recent wins include the Grand Prix Freestyle and the Under-25 Grand Prix in Grootebrugge, and that was just a month ago. Bojangles is Dutch bred, 14-year-old, gelding by Samba Hit. Bojangles for Russia's Alexandra Maksikova.
What a great confidence giver, doing so well only a month before the European Championships. So I think he'll have a great feeling coming down that centre line today. And when we see each horse, entering on the left rein or the right rein when they enter down the centre line, you can enter on whatever rein you like. And generally the rider chooses the rein that they both as a combination find easier. So if the horse is slightly more crooked or a little bit stiffer one way, then they'll go the other way just to make sure that when they do halt, they are nice and square and straight. Very nice frame in the extended trot. A very clear transition from the collected trot into the extended. You can see how he's really coming through the forearm and stretching through. Very good entrance on a 7.4 score. Just would like to see a bit more of a uniform bend in the half passes, especially to the left. Think about that suppleness through the rib cage, just so the horse's inside shoulder can really come up off the ground and show that form of suspension. And that's where we just look for those slightly higher marks, and that suppleness is very clear.
She looks to be another rider that's sitting very quietly.
Yes, it makes you laugh when you keep saying that. Yeah, it's yeah, she sits a lot. She is quieter, but I think also they're a lot more established as well. I think it's a big difference when the horse is, you know, confident in his work and knows exactly what he's doing. I think that makes a real big difference. Very nice transition out of the piaffe into the passage. You can see there an average of 7.1 for the piaffe and the same for the transition. So she's really putting the marks in here. I mean, that's a very lovely piaffe. Yeah, she did a very good job there. He always got a little bit sort of stuck in the transition out, but she very quickly quickened him to get him into that passage transition. She's very much averaging at a 7 for the piaffe and the passage. And you've got to think, if you can get a 7 for every single movement, that's a 70% test. Nice extended walk. Just really see that the horse was relaxed. And then that collected walk that starts at S. If you just think about leg yielding, just like she has through that corner, just to get your inside leg on a bit more, and the horse bending around your inside leg to get this clear cant transition to the right. Then we've got medium canter where it's got to be bold, but you don't want to go too bold that you don't get a clean flying change. So it's a really fine line there to how much do you push to be able to get that half step of collection almost to get the flying change clean. Very nice preparation through the corner. And the same there to the left. You just want to see a little bit more body bend around her inside leg, a little bit more suppleness from the rib cage, just to help her a bit more in the half passes. And again there, you could see quite clearly on that stride on the way out, he went wide behind instead of bringing that right hind leg under the body. And that's just to talk about having that suppleness that the rib cage can go to the left and go to the right without changing the head carriage in front. Very good extended canter into the flying change. And that's where you just want her to have a bit more outside range, to slow that shoulder down, that left shoulder down, so the quarters can just catch up a bit. There was quarters trailing there in the half pass that didn't help her there in the canter pirouette because he wasn't sat really underneath himself for her to really have that uphill balance needed to have those high marks in the canter pirouette. Very well ridden two-time change. You can see there giving him a little bit of a pat. It's always a nice feeling for the riders when the changes are correct and they come off. You just see here how she's making the canter have more jump to get these one-time changes. It's a shame. Just late in front there. And you get a 5 for your first mistake. So that is a shame in that one-time changes there. Very good transition at C into the collected trot. Yeah, and you can see there that 4.5 in those one-time changes, just sadly where he was just late in front. Nice expression in the extended trot. We'd like to see a bit more quickness, more activity behind coming into the passage, a bit more energy coming into this final halt. And you can just see there how he stepped a little bit wider behind, just because he didn't quite have the quickness behind he did in the passage. But, you know, absolutely lovely combination and a really lovely horse. He looked incredibly willing and happy to be out there. And there was some really super work. I mean, the way she rode the Piaf Passage Tour was very well ridden. Just a shame that that transition was a little bit costly there, coming out of that second Piaf. And then again there for those one-time changes, which is such a shame because, you know, they're just little mistakes that you can't even plan for. It just happens. But I think she'll very much go out today, speak to her trainer, and they'll discuss a way to make a plan for that, make it easier for her in that U25 Grand Prix.
And a prime example there of just how those very, very small mistakes can have such a big impact on the test and the overall score at the end of it.
Absolutely, that's why it's so crucial that you think about your preparation and you don't throw tiny marks away like that first centre line, the first halt and the last halt of the test. They are very, very important because if you have had a little mistake or something during the test, you need that mark to be able to be correct. So it's very important that you think about your preparation during the test and your accuracy, because you can get a whole mark on top of what you're getting just because you were accurate, but you can very easily lose a mark because you didn't hit the marker. So when you're out there is so much to think about.
67.765 for Alexandra Maksikova and Bojangles. Not too many left to go, and it's really going to start to get interesting now because Spain, Denmark, Netherlands and Germany all have teams competing. It's all very close, and this is the fourth and final rider for the Spanish team now. Antonio lies Zandio with Gelholms Menotti. Gelholms Menotti, a 13-year-old, gelding by Don Romantic. Antonio on the teams in Oliva in 2016, Lamprechtshausen 2017 as well, won the under-25 Grand Prix in Le Mans back in February to get his 2020 season off to a very good start.
And he's on a very good start now in his first centre line. Nice expression in the extended trot through the shoulder. Very nice preparation through the corner. Very nice positioning in the half pass to the right. You want to be a little bit careful that he doesn't fall onto the left shoulder in the half pass to the left. And again, a very nice positioning again to the right. So we've got the passage transition coming in between R and B, and the turn at B. Just want to see a bit more active behind in the hind leg in the passage, and there was not quite enough steps there in the Piaf. There was a minimum there of Piaf steps, which is a shame because it almost gives the illusion that you're not comfortable being within the Piaf. So I hope here that he stays in there just a touch longer. You can see there 6.1 in the Piaf, which is a shame because I really think if he stays in there a bit longer, that's it. Good job that he can get a high mark. And very interesting there how the horse wants to come out about 4 strides earlier than the rider did. So he did a very good job there at actually saying, wait for me. And now, since he's done that, the passage is much better quality. So I think maybe the horse was slightly in front of him in the first half of the Piaf Passage Tour, and he wasn't quite able to get him as connected as he wanted. And you can see that it's a shame he's got a 5.3, and it definitely would have been higher if the horse had just been a little bit more patient and just waited a couple more strides within the Piaf. It's quite intimidating there, doing your collected walk transition right over the judge, looking at you there at H. Just see a little bit of tension there. just before he went into the canter transition, where the horse was predicting that the transition was going to happen at C. And that's there, that's 6.2 for that collected walk. So it really shows how much something, a tiny little bit of tension can make a massive difference to your mark.
And it has to be fairly daunting, as you said a moment ago, in that collected walk directly in front of the judge. Windows open, eyes firmly on you.
And the worst thing as well, you'll most probably be able to hear the judge saying your score as well, because the windows are open. So it's like that dreaded feeling. So that's a shame. That's a big shame there. Oh, a lot's happening. So that wasn't very easy. The horse took over again. So the horse is thinking that he very much knows best in this test. And he's just making a couple of costly mistakes. So that is a shame that that happened in the canter pirouette. So things are getting a little bit costly now. So he's really, the rider now is really going to have to think about how he's going to keep the horse with him coming into the canter pirouette, very much keeping him a lot more on his left rein and on his seat, just to make sure the horse stays with him. And that's just where that little bit lack of body bend comes from there in the pirouette, where it doesn't quite look as stable as some of the others we've seen, just where basically the middle part of the horse, the stomach area, isn't moving enough to the outside to form that banana shape around the rider's inside leg. And that's where that bit of tension, that difficulty comes through in those canter pirouettes and half passes. Very well ridden in the 2-time changes. Some really lovely work out here. It's just a shame there's been those slightly costly mistakes. A very good job there in the 1-times. It isn't easy when the horse starts to go to the toilet when you want to start your 1-time changes. So he did really well there just to wait till the horse had finished. And I think what we've seen here actually is that the more the horse goes through the test, almost the hotter, the more energetic the horse is going, instead of the other way when they're almost getting tired. This is getting more and more excited the further on he goes through the test. Yeah, 8 for those 1-times. Yeah, exactly. Brilliantly ridden. But that little bit of tension in that trot transition at C and being a little bit late then leaves the mark to be roughly about 5.9. You can just see here how the horse has got a bit hotter on his legs and the passage and really stepping really quick. And it's a shame we didn't have that type of work earlier on in the test. But a really lovely horse, especially seeing that last sort of ending work, how much more energy he had within the steps and the stride. It's just the same that the horse got a little bit ahead of him in certain movements, and sadly that canter pirouette is incredibly expensive. But the horse was very pleased with himself, which is the main thing. He had a lovely time.
Was enjoying himself more and more as that test went on.
And you find that as well, because some horses get lazier as the test goes on, some stay the same, and some generally get hotter, especially after the changes. You could see once he'd done those 1-times, he was getting really ready to go, and you saw the tension there in that trot transition, and a shame. But if you think how costly his mistakes were, he's still on 66 there as a provisional at the moment, but as 268, I mean, that's fantastic. The judges like what they're seeing, so therefore, if he can just make sure in the U25 Grand Prix that he just tries to maintain those mistakes a little bit more, he's going to come out with a really good score.
Just finalising the scores as well for the Spanish team. They finish on 199.177.
Just the final score of the Spanish team, 199.177.
Don't think that will be quite enough to make a podium finish, but the Netherlands final rider, that score is definitely going to count. They've already had a discard score, so that could be interesting, especially with the pressure on that final rider in the team. But now it's the final rider for Germany, so this rider really looking to pull something special out the bag to put the pressure on Denmark and the Netherlands as well. This is Anne-Catherine Lindner with FBW Sunfire, an 11-year-old gelding by San Amor. And if anyone's capable of pulling a special test out of the bag, it is this young lady. Team gold at the Under-25 Championships in Italy last year. She won the Grand Prix Freestyle and the Under-25 Grand Prix in both Liège in March and Hagen in July as well. So can she do something similar today and possibly give Germany the gold medal?
And like we were saying earlier there, John, that to be the fourth rider of the team, especially when your team is in a very huge chance of getting a medal, there is a lot of pressure on the rider, and only a number of riders can deal with that. So the trainers and selectors sort of work together and decide who they think's basically got the ability to deal with that much pressure. Very good score on the entry. Lovely positioning in the half passes and the zigzag. You can see that the horse has a lot of expression. Very nice uphill frame. Good transition coming into the passage. Just wants to keep that energy into the piaffe. Make sure the horse keeps stepping in the piaffe. Showing those 6 to 8 strides. Again here, lovely energy. Very good transition out into the passage. And what I like here, there's not been a rhythm change. Everything's the same. A clear 2-beat, clear diagonal pairs for the whole of the piaffe passage tour. And still on that whopping score of 74% so far. Very nice relaxation in the extended walk. And you can see there how the rider was able to really move her seat in the extended walk because the horse was really relaxed through the back and letting her in. And just see there that she didn't over-shorten her range of that collected walk to get him anticipating for anything. She waited until she was in that canter transition. Very nice flying change. Lovely preparation through the corner. Very nice bend in the half bars. She did really well there just to stop him. He was ever so slightly going to go quarters leading in the canter pirouette, and she was very quick to correct that before she started the canter pirouette. Really push for this extended canter. The judges want to see the ground cover. They want to see the balance to stay uphill. And the preparation back for a lovely flying change. Very nice canter. Just wants to make sure that it's a little bit more parallel there in the half pass. She did a very good job there. The right canter pirouette isn't quite as easy as his left canter pirouette, and you could see that again there in the half pass to the right. Very well ridden, nice clean flying changes. You can see there her giving a pat and get these 1 times out of the way. Brilliant job, good. I mean, I'm nervous for her. She's doing great. Now the changes are out of the way, we can breathe. Good transition there into the collected trot from C. You can see how the horse is staying very uphill in his head carriage. Good balance in the extended trot. Very nice preparation there again into the collected trot. And I think we might have a lot of screaming and cheering in a minute as she comes down to that final halt after a beautifully ridden test.
That's why the chef d'equipe would have put her the fourth and final rider.
Absolutely. I mean, absolutely beautifully ridden and a fantastic test. And you can see that from the score. She's trained by Monica Tierescu, who's a fantastic, well, the team trainer, who is an absolute great support. And you can really see, you know, she trains the best as well, Isabel, as well. So you can see how that really comes through to the riders, that every way she rode a movement, she had the preparation, she rode him correctly, she supported him in the way that he needed it, and then that shows on a whopping score that you can see there.
74.588, Anne-Catherine Lindner and Germany. And now we're going to see the German score. All four riders have competed, so the discard score, I think, will be their first to go, which was the 70.530 from Alexa Westendarp, and it is. It's quite a luxury to be able to discard a score which, at the start of the test, we said was very, very good.
Absolutely, the drop score being 70. Well, you know your team's done well when that happens. I think we have a lot of exciting people and nervous people waiting to see, are they going to win gold?
218.323, the final score for Germany. And now the ball is most definitely in the court of Netherlands and Denmark. Their final riders still to come, but now it's a rider for Portugal. Second rider from Portugal here competing as an individual. That will be Francisco Villanova. Just a little bit of a disagreement in the warm-up arena.
Yeah, you can see, and what they'll do is they'll have to have a bit check. So once the horse has left the arena, they go and get checked that there's nothing in the horse's mouth that isn't allowed, or the spurs are correct and things like that. And if they're wearing ears, the ears will be taken off and checked. And that's all part of what happens when you have to leave the arena. So the horse isn't allowed to go anywhere until that bit check is done.
And here's the next rider.
So here for Portugal, Francisco Villanova made his championship debut last year on the young rider team in San Giovanni. Won the Under-25 Grand Prix in Lisbon back in October as well. And his ride today is a 14-year-old Westphalian gelding by Sir Donna Hall. This is Sir Sub-Bureau for Portugal's Francisco Villanova.
Well, he just had an interesting moment there in the warm-up, so I don't think he's going to come out to canter until he gets down that centre line.
I thought he was going to be joining us at the extended canter for a moment when I saw him over in the warm-up arena.
I did. I thought it was the horse that had just left. I thought, oh, he's still got energy, but no, it was this one, bless him. I don't think he's going to have a lack of energy in this test, that's for sure.
Francisco just now hoping that that's it, it's all out of his system before they start.
Oh, we're going to see a little bit of tension here. Very nice centre line. You can just see how the horse has got a little bit hot and his ears are very aerodynamic. So I think there's just a bit of tension. He's almost got too much energy and he doesn't want to know what to do with it because life is so exciting. So he just needs to take a moment just to breathe and just relax. And you can just see there the tension in the extended trot. So hopefully the lateral work will slightly relax him a bit more, making him a bit more through the body and focusing more on his rider. You can see that 6.2 for that first entry where the judges could just see that he's a little bit tense. He's a little bit short on the neck and you see his head's come a bit too high. But I think once he starts getting through the Piaf Passage, he'll start to relax and breathe. Very nice energy in the Piaf. Super stepping, very good transition out into the Passage. Just wants to be a bit careful. The horse wants to give him a lot more than what the rider is wanting at the moment. He wants him just to breathe and relax and keep a nice regular rhythm in the passage. Very good piaffe again. Lovely transition again into the passage. Just see again that bit of tension. Obviously something in the warm-up that's caused him to be a bit tense, and you can just see, sadly, going that passage there, that he was a little bit too tight and he lost irregularity, which is a shame because he's pulled some fantastic marks up in the piaffe, but you can just see that the rider has got his legs absolutely nowhere near him, because he knows that if he puts his legs on, I don't think he's going to be staying in the walk. He's doing a very good job here in that collected walk. You can just see where he doesn't want to touch him with his legs just yet until he's in the canter. So hopefully this medium canter here might help get some energy. And you can just see 4.7 for the extended walk, which is double mark. So that is so expensive, just because you can see how tight and tense he was, and he just wasn't relaxing and taking the contact down. And you can see there's such a future for this horse as well, because the piaffe, he's incredibly talented at the piaffe passage. So I think once he learns to be just a little bit quieter in the test and in everything else, he's going to do a fantastic job. But I think today he's got a rocket up his bottom. Very well ridden there, just to keep him the tension out of the canter pirouette as much as he could. Don't think he'll go too much in the extended canter. Very good. I tell you what, this rider is doing an absolutely fantastic job on giving this horse the best ride possible, keeping him with him and keeping him relaxed and trying to get him back with him and trying to get him to take a nice deep breath. Super positioning there in the half pass to the right.
At a championship like this, with these riders that have had the horses that have got slightly more energy than some of the others, would they have the opportunity between now and their next competition maybe to work the horses again, to maybe burn off some of that energy?
Yes, they're able to. So, for example, if you want to ride your horse in the morning, you'll have training time. So through the whole competition, there'll be training times that when you're allowed to ride your horse when not in competition. So you can ride them in the morning and again in the evening if you feel that that's something you need to do. I think he might definitely be coming out twice tomorrow. I was ashamed there in those 2-time changes. They started off super and then sadly went into 1 time. So I think, this would be a prime example of a horse that would very much be ridden in the morning and then again for their warm-up for the test.
And there's possibly some that might just spend the whole day in the stable reserving energy for the next competition.
Absolutely, the ones that you're physically giving lots of oats to try and give them as much energy as possible, and then you have ones like these that, what a talented horse. That is super, it is lovely, but he just has so much energy that he doesn't know what to do with it, and it's a shame because I was keeping a little bit of eye on him when the other horse was finishing the test and he looked really relaxed, so something I think must have spooked him and got him quite tense and worked up here, which is such a shame because if you look here, the potential is huge with the ability the horse has in the piaffe passage. It's just a shame how much tension is running through him.
And I suppose for these younger riders as well, it is, they're heading into the unknown. It's possibly some of their first championships with these horses. They've had to travel here to compete. They don't know how much energy the travelling is going to take out of the horse, and I suppose it's just a game of experience in that sense that they have to attend these championships, they have to travel these horses to the shows to find out what works best for them.
Absolutely, and he would have gone to more internationals, as we know from his CV, just because he would have had to have qualified, but the fact is that this could be the biggest international with the most atmosphere that he's ever been to. Is it the fact that he left the warm-up, once again, like we're saying, from that herd environment to suddenly being on his own? Is that, because I think what happened was he got really tense in that warm-up, that 5-minute or 10-minute box, as that horse left the arena. So I wonder if he suddenly felt very on his own, and that's when the nerves kicked in. It's very hard to tell, but you've got some huge difference here in the scores with that 72%. So that judge obviously loved what they saw. Just hopefully the rest of them, when he does the U25 Grand Prix, there'll just be not so much tension.
65.206 for Francisco Villanova and Sir Saburo. Now it's the fourth and final rider for the Netherlands team, Janine Nieuwenhuis and TC Athene, a 15-year-old Dutch warm-blood gelding, by United out of a mare by Jazz. Team gold as a junior in 2012, seems a long way ago that back in Switzerland. Individual gold as a young rider in Aliva, and individual gold as an under-25 in Italy last year. And I've been sat here, Bobby, working this out in my head. I assure you, I definitely don't have a calculator. I think a score of 73.795 will put them ahead of Germany.
Oh, that's doable. That's actually doable. Oh, that's exciting, isn't it? I'm so glad you worked out. I thought you were going to ask me to do it, and I would have had to got lots of calculators.
Well, that's my working out. It might not be entirely correct, but I think around that 73.795, that should be enough to move into the lead. But will it then be enough to hold off the fight from Denmark? I don't know. We'll find out. There's a lot of pressure on.
It is, and also she most probably would have already worked out or been told what score she needs to get. So, Janine now is really going to know what she's going to have to do for it. So hopefully she's can deal with the pressure and she's got this. Very good expression in the canter coming down the centre line. Nice positioning and impulsion out of the halt. Very nice expression in the extended trot. Nice crossing in the half passes. You can see that she's really riding every movement and really pushing him to get those highest marks. And we still are on a 76 so far. Is when that Dressage Piaffe tour comes in. Hopefully he stays with her. Good energy in the Passage. I just want to see him a bit rounder in the Piaffe, just so the transition out is a little bit more fluent. You can just see there that she's patting him just to say to him, look, it's okay. Stay with me, stay relaxed. And coming into the Piaffe again, so he just wants to keep him a bit rounder and a bit more forward in the Piaffe, so he doesn't get too backwards. And you can just see there how the Piaffe was quite costly. Now she's gone down to 71, getting a 6 for the Piaffe, but high marks for the Passage. Very good over track in the extended walk. Really lovely to see how the horse is taking the bit forward and relaxing through the body into the contact. She's just riding that collected walk. Very careful. He doesn't get too big with the front legs. Oh, she went bold and it happened. That was good. It was a good change. Definitely riding for a 10 in every movement. Very nice half pass. Just wants to take her time. Don't override the canter pirouette. Allow the horse to step and come round. Very good job. Very bold extended canter. Very nice change. Super job. It's gone back up to that 73.
It's going to be very close.
Oh. You just want to make sure that she doesn't get, start overriding and those mistakes creep in. But so far, so good. Just take her time here in the cant pirouette. Good job, good job. Well done. It's all down to these tempi changes. I think this is where we're going to see everybody around the outside jumping from one leg to the other, riding the changes with her.
There's a huge following for the Dutch team here as well.
Yeah, a lot of orange. Very good two-time changes. Oh, she's doing it.
It's there or thereabouts.
Oh, steady. Don't have a mistake.
$74.
Brilliant, brilliant. That's great. I think everyone would have taken a deep breath now around the outside of the arena. Good. Lovely downward transition into the collected trot. Super energy. Very straight, extended trot. Now for that last centre line.
What must be going through her head here?
I think more the people around the outside. Look at them, they're all biting their fingers or... Almost there, good. Very nice passage. Still riding it, just doing good. Super.
They're
yes,
pleased.
she knows she's done it.
They're
Brilliant.
very pleased with that. She couldn't have done any more.
No, that's amazing. And what's the winner on?
Germany were on 218.323. On my calculations, she needed 73.794 to go into the lead, which I think she might have done, but that was a really convincing round, and I think that has definitely put the pressure on the Danish side as well. Their fourth rider is with us in a moment's time.
Oh, things are getting exciting.
Look at that for a score, 74.765.
A 77 from the C judge. Amazing. Brilliant.
What
I don't
a
think she even
result.
quite knows yet, does she?
Well, she can't believe it. So we'll just see now how that looks for the team results. I think she's just clocked it. She's just clocked it.
Brilliant. Oh, how exciting. That's fantastic.
Look at that, 219.294. So the Netherlands now have one hand on a second team gold today at the Youth Dressage European Championships. They've already won the young riders. They lead the under-25s. I'll do a few more calculations to see what Denmark need if they're to knock the Netherlands from the top of that podium, but it's going to be some challenge for them, believe you me. But now it's to Belgium. It's Laura Vandenborn with Ikkepeer van der Berghoven, 12-year-old Belgian warm blood, gelding by San Amour. Just the one rider in the under-25s from Belgium. On the team in Roosendaal 2 years ago. Fourth in the under-25 Grand Prix of Liège back in February. And fourth in the under-25 Grand Prix Freestyle of Grotebergel a month ago.
Very nice canter coming into the centre line. Just like to see that halt a little bit more forward and the horse step under himself a little bit more, keeping that engagement. Very good preparation coming through the corner. Good expressive extended trot. And you can just see there where she's on that 6.2 for that first entry, just where he didn't quite come in and halt, sitting underneath himself in a nice square halt. Very nice positioning to the half pass to the right. A very attractive horse, isn't he?
Very striking.
Good transition there going into the passage. Just wants to keep him stepping forward in the piaffe, keep the energy. You can just see there how he lost the quickness going into the piaffe, and that's just down to strength. Definitely has a lot of ability. You just see there how he's being a touch fussy in his mouth, and it's just where he's not quite going from the hind leg into that secure contact. And that's also to do either with nerves or just being strong enough to be able to be a bit more engaged, pushing from that hind leg and pushing his nose out in front of him. Just like to see his nose extend a little bit further forward, keep the extension through his back, just to show a bit more elasticity through the body. Well, the judge gave a little smile that time. That's nice. Less intimidating when she's smiling.
Would you get a few extra marks for smiling back?
Yeah, let's go for it. Yeah, I think so. I think so. Nice sparkly brow band and a nice smile, and I think you can win any judge over. And that's where you can just see there that he doesn't quite take enough weight behind, and that's why he almost jumped to the side for the flying change. Sorry, John, just remind me how old he is again?
This one is a Belgian warm blood. It's a 12-year-old.
Yeah. So it's still, I know you say 12, but for the higher levels of the Grand Prix, that's still quite young, especially as you could be quite new at the level and not been doing it. It takes a good 2 years to be very established at the Grand Prix work for a horse to make it easier for them. Good stepping in the pirouette. It was a bit too large, so she'll lose a mark on that, but he kept a good tempo and a good rhythm. Very nice extended canter. And you can just see there where he's just not quite strong enough to take the hind legs under his body, and he almost drops his nose down when she has to ride a transition. And that's where he just needs to be able to have a stronger six-pack almost and lift his stomach up and be in self-carriage. Don't we all need that six-pack, hey John?
Absolutely. I was going to blame the whole lockdown on me not having one, but I don't think there was one there before anyway, so...
Exactly, that COVID pound, I think everyone's calling it at the moment.
Yeah, yeah.
That was a very nice canter pirouette to the right. You can just see when she asks for the flying change right to left, he just brings his hip a little bit to the left, and that's just because he needs to come under his body with the hind leg and up in front. Good job in the one-time changes. Very good transition there into the collected trot. A well shown transition there going from the extended trot into the collected trot. Very nice energy in the passage. This horse has so much potential, and I think just a little bit more time at this level, and I think it's going to find everything a lot easier. still. Ooh, and that's a shame. That's going to be very expensive. They must halt without moving whilst the riders salute. So that is a shame. But you can just see there where the tension crept in. But at the same time, I really, really like this horse. I think he's got a lot of talent. Yes, he's 12, but I think another year at this level and you're going to see a completely different picture again. But a provisional of 68, that's a very, very good score. And it's just a couple of little things that we could just think of taking a bit more weight behind, a bit more security in certain movements, and then, you know, that score's easily gone over the 70%, so she should be thrilled.
And here the scores. It is 71.471 at
You can see there's 71 and a 70 from two judges, so you know there is a lot to like. You can just see some of the other judges just want a little bit more engagement.
68.765, the score there for Laura Vandenborn, Ikpia van der Berghoven. Just two left to go, and the team medals hang in the balance. They will be decided at the end of this round. I've been doing my calculations, Bobby, and I think, I hope, for the Denmark team to take silver, they need a score of 73.206 or better.
Oh, that's doable. Oh, this is tough. This is exciting.
For them to take the gold, they need a score of 74.177 or better.
Okay.
So it could be done. Their final rider is Josefine Hoffmann. Team and individual bronze in the under-25s 12 months ago in Italy. She won the Grand Prix Freestyle in Gothenburg in February. So let's see how she fares. Riding the 16-year-old Danish warm-blood gelding by Romanoff. It's Honorup's driver. The last rider for Denmark is Josefine Hoffmann.
Well, watching around the outside is a very, very impressive combination. Just halted slightly wide behind there, but really, I think only the judge at C will clearly be able to see that. Lovely expression in the collected trot. Incredibly elastic. And what I like is that this horse shows real lightness in its movement. Very, very elegant with a super frame. You can just see that 6.6 there, sadly just being a bit wide behind. Very nice preparation into the half pass. And again they're going to the half pass to the left. And you can really see how she's got such a fantastic CV on this horse because it looks so elegant and effortless. You can see there just after that extended trot how quickly her mark has gone up to 73.
74.250.
I mean, lovely energy in the passage. Yes, you can see him swinging a little bit left to right here in the Piaf, so the judge at B there will see that quite clearly, or E, but at the same time, he kept stepping. His head carriage, you know, self-carriage is super. Lovely expression. He's very, very expressive in the passage here. And that's where you can just see him slightly going left to the right. That's why he hit the white board, but he's still stepping. Great energy. And I think a little bit, he's got so much expression and he wants to give so much that he just at the moment takes the weight a bit wide behind to be able to support that. And that really shows a fantastic partnership there where you can have so much energy and so much expression through the first half of the test, but yet you can drop your reins into an extended walk like that.
I'm looking forward to seeing the canter work from this horse.
I am as well. Just careful there in that collective walk. You can just see how short she's making each stride. She's very much in control of every single step in that collective walk, so he doesn't get too big in front. And now she quickly shortens her reins and gets ready for, I think, a very expressive medium canter. Very nice. Good positioning in the half pass to the left. Again, lovely self-carriage, lovely balance. Good preparation so far coming into the canter pirouette. Just got to get that score a bit higher. You can just see where she lost that a bit in the collective walk, which was expensive. Come on. Very nice ground cover in the extended canter into a very good flying change. We're getting there. We're back up on the 70. A good correction there, making sure he's parallel in the half pass. Good balance in the canter pirouette. On these flying changes. 3, 2, 4, 2, 5, 2, 6, 2, 7, 2. Very good job.
That score's still creeping up.
Oh, we're going to do it? I don't know. It will be tough now. Yeah, super one-time changes. Oh, very good transition into the collected trot. Super expression again here in the extended trot. Very nice transition shown again coming into the collected trot. This horse has so much expression in the trot work. You can just see though a little bit how he swings left to right and up the side with the hind legs, which is a shame because it's going to be quite costly in front of the judge at C. You can just see again how he stopped a little bit wide behind, but what a horse. What a horse.
The final rider for the Danish team.
Final few scores being processed. Up to 72.
To have the results on the scoreboard.
Makes it tight. What did you say? A high 73, didn't you?
73.206 or better for silver. 74.177 or better for gold.
That's incredibly close, and I think it's such a shame a little bit there that at the moment with the Piaf he gets a bit wide behind and a bit swinging because that was costly. So that sort of brought her mark down there quite a bit.
72.323. The confirmed score for the final rider from Denmark, Josefine Hoffmann, with the Honorups driver. And I think it looks like it's going to be the bronze medal that goes the way of Denmark. We will get that confirmed in a moment's time, but it looks as if it could be a double of golds for the Netherlands here today. 72.323. Yes, it is. It's confirmed there. It's a bronze medal for Denmark, which means the silver medal goes the way of Germany and the gold goes the way of the Netherlands. It is yet another gold, and you can see the following from the Netherlands there in the background. There's so many here this week in Budapest, Hungary, and there it is. Look how close that team leaderboard is.
That is crazy, absolutely crazy.
Germany on the second place.
What a fantastic competition though regarding the teams.
the standard has been fantastic, and it is the Netherlands that claim gold. But there's still another rider left to go. It's one of the individual riders from Great Britain, Lewis Carrier, with his own Dutch-bred 12-year-old gelding Diego the Fifth. He is the final rider, an individual from Great Britain. He was a member of the young rider team in Fontainebleau 2 years ago, and in Kiso in the United Kingdom, both in October and March. He's had some wonderful results. In October, at the end of 2019, he won the Under-25 Grand Prix and the Grand Prix Freestyle. And then in March, he was second in the Under-25 Grand Prix and Grand Prix Freestyle as well.
I think, John, you're going to have to say some facts whilst my screen, my end, catches up with our last rider.
Well, he's just got underway. He'll be looking to repeat that form that he had at Kiso back in October. One of two internationals that they run there, in fact. Really good results for him to win the Under-25 Grand Prix and the Grand Prix Freestyle there. And he's here this week competing as an individual, but he will be here full of confidence. It's an impressive start, actually, with scores coming through of around 7.2 for the entrance and the extended trot. So, Bobby, for someone in Lewis's position now, he's last to go, the team results already been decided, he's here as an individual. Is he going out for the highest score possible, or would he be using this as, yes, to gain a high mark, but to acclimatise the horse to the arena and just to let the horse settle before the individual competitions later this week?
I think that every rider goes in there for their best score possible, their PB. Every rider goes in there to win. You don't go in there to think, oh, I'm just happy if I get this score. You go in there to do your utmost best and to win. But absolutely, he has to do this test to qualify for the individual anyway. So he has to do the team test. But, it is an absolutely fantastic chance to get him in the arena and run through. And a bit of a checklist for what you need to change a bit, getting ready for that individual test. But I think as riders don't think about it as much as, obviously we know it's a team test, but out there today he won't be thinking, right, this is a team test, it doesn't matter so much. It's a competition at the end of the day, and he's going out there to get the best score he personally can. And so far it's looking great. I can see there in the extended walk and the collective walk, it's a very good frame. Good job there. You just seem to be a little bit difficult there in the contact in the medium canter, but you did a great job to get that flying change nice and clean. Really nice frame and uphill balance going into the canter half pass. Very good stepping within the canterette. It was a bit too big. I'd like to see it a little bit smaller, but the balance was very, very good. Nice expression in the extended canter. Lovely flying change. You're on a very good score here of 68. Super positioning going into the half pass to the right. And good balance again going into the canter to the right. He did a really good job there in those 2-time changes, keeping him nice and uphill. Great job on those 1-times. And you know, when you think about riding the 1-times, you really have to think about just walking. You're sat on a horse, and all you've got to do is just walk, and that is your general aid for those 1-time changes. Nice balance within the extended trot. Just a bit more of a transition after the extended trot. Just like to see a little bit more energy within the passage. Very good job into the halt. Oh, he just realised there's judges. They're looking at me. I think he rode that beautifully. I've actually never seen him ride before, and I think he's an absolute lovely rider and presented that test incredibly well. There were some really lovely parts in the test, and I knew the provisional, it's just gone now, but the provisional was about 68, which, you know, is a fantastic score to be getting, you know, running up going into the U25 Grand Prix.
Really nice start to the championship for him. We'll just await that final score from him. It's high 60s, 68.794, 12th best score, and very respectable from Lewis Carrier with Diego the 5th.
Yeah, absolutely. 68 at European Championships is a fantastic individual score to get. It really is. And I think that's we give him full of confidence going into the U25 Grand Prix now.
Well, the team competition today has been fantastic, both for the young riders and the under-25s. The under-25s, the podium positions were so close, there was barely anything to separate them. But it is a bronze medal finish for Denmark of Maja Andreasen, Mette Strandby, Hansen, Josefine Hoffmann and Victoria Vallentin. Germany takes silver, Hannah Herbert, Anna-Catherine Lindner, Raphael Netz and Alexa Westendorp. But the gold medal once more, their second gold medal of the day, goes to Netherlands of Jasmine de Koeyer, Janine Nieuwenhuis, Febe van Zwombacht and Mercedes Verwijs. Fantastic competition that we've seen here, Bobby.
It really has, and I've thoroughly enjoyed it. And I mean, I was literally at the edge of my seat for those for the 2 tests that who was going to be between gold and silver. And I think that everybody here today, I've been impressed by absolutely everybody. And I really, you know, the standard that all the riders are at now, even from when I was doing the U25 Grand Prix, has come on so much, and it's just incredibly exciting to see the competition getting better and better every year.
Well, it's been a pleasure to have you with us today, Bobby, and you're back, I believe, on Friday for the Under-25 Grand Prix Freestyle and the Young Rider Freestyle as well. Is that right?
Yes, it is.
Super.
You'll be with me again.
I can't wait for that. Thank you so much for joining us, Bobby. And we're back with more action tomorrow. We start at bright and early 7 o'clock British time with the Under-25 Grand Prix. And then tomorrow afternoon sees the Young Rider Individual Test Part 1. Bobby, thank you for joining us. Thank you all for tuning in on FEI TV, Clip My Horse as well. And we'll see you tomorrow morning. But don't forget, the medal ceremony for the Under-25 Team Championship is on the way.
Nighttime, when the world is at its rest, you will find me in the place I know the best, dancing, shouting, flying to the moon. Don't have to worry, 'cause I'll be come back soon. And we built up castles in the skies and in the sand. anytime you will find me by your side, trying to do my best, trying to make things right. When it all turns wrong, there's no fault of mine, but it won't hit hard to let me shine. And we
never alone. And that is our strength. Because when we're doubted, we'll play as one. When we're held back, we'll go farther and harder. If we're not taken seriously, we'll prove that wrong. And if we don't fit the sport, we'll change the sport. We know things won't always go our way.
And the world's sporting events are postponed or cancelled.
But whatever it is, we'll find a way. And when things aren't fair, we'll come together for change.
We have a responsibility
to make this world a better place.
And no matter how bad it gets, we will always come back stronger. Because nothing can stop what we can do together.
Ladies and gentlemen, we would like to take the opportunity to thank all judges, officials and volunteers involved in the competition on behalf of the organizing committee and the FEI. We thank them for their ongoing commitment to equestrian sports. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the medalists for the European Dressage Championships Under 25 team title. Riders, please dismount and stand behind the podium. The presenters are Mr. Ari Yom Tov, Honorary President of the Organizing Committee, accompanied by Mrs. Maya Stuckel, Foreign Technical Delegate. The winners of the bronze medal are Maja Andreasen, Mette Strandby Hansen, Josefine Hoffmann, Victoria E. Vallentin, accompanied by the safety keep Mette Müller, the team from Denmark. The winners of the silver medals are Hanna Erbe, Ann-Kathrin Lindner, Raphael Netz, Alexa Westentab, accompanied by the safety keep Monica Theodorescu, the team from Germany. Ladies and gentlemen, the winners of the gold medals and Team European Champions Under 25 2020 are Jasmine de Koeyer, Janine Nieuwenhuis, Phoebe van Zwambacht, Mercedes Verwey, and the safety keep Monique Poets, the Netherlands. Ladies and gentlemen, to honor the gold medalists of the Under 25 Team European Championships, please raise for the national anthem of the gold medal winning team of the Netherlands. Ladies and gentlemen, the medalists of the European Dressage Championship Under 25 team. Riders, please mount your horses. And now, ladies and gentlemen, now we have the chance to congratulate the medal-winning teams at the lap of honor. Ladies and gentlemen, this was the championship for the under 25 teams dressage 2020. Tomorrow morning we start with the individuals for the under 25, the Grand Prix 16 to 25, to go for the individual medals. And now, wish you a nice evening. Goodbye.